Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It? Wait for it. Wait for it. Podcast. I'm your host, GB, in a good mood today. Maybe because of the Red Bull. Who knows? I think it's blurred out, which is good, so I don't get bollocked by them. But I'm your host. All good. But today's guest is a British pro wrestler. She is Coldplay's biggest fan.
I know I'm not. I'm not. One
Please
album.
give it up for Kamille Hansen. How you doing today? You all right?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I can't actually complain. Yeah, work's been all right.
Fuming about this whole Coldplay thing.
I think I've just started it, and I saw like a few retweets already. I just like I knew it. I knew it. I know it's a cool thing to hate them, but I'm not a big fan. Like, but at the same time, I like Nickelback.
Nickelback are like underrated. I think. I
They
feel
are like give me a bit of them and a bit of Creed, and like the 2000s and.
Creed not so much, but Nickelback. I mean, like
But
Nickelback.
yeah, it's just because you like
They
Coldplay.
have some bangers.
Oh, what's your
One
favorite
album.
Coldplay album then? Is it
Well,
Paris?
it was one album. It was the Viva La Vida or Death and All Its Friends because it's
I
like a
bet,
cool chill out album.
bet you loved it. Bet you loved it. But it was just like the
I
light right.
did. I did. I enjoyed the album.
I don't absolutely hate them, but I think they're boring. I think my favorite song of them is probably Magic, but I probably couldn't tell you more than 10, 15 songs by them. But because I
To
think they
be
all sound
fair, to be fair, neither could I, because that album's like 8 songs
bollocks. Just put
long.
it on an act. Just put it on an act. I don't remember. I don't.
I can assure you, I'm not.
It was a bit like the list of Jericho, isn't it? Like when he's like Nitro, just like Coldplay #2, Parachutes. And anyway, enough about Coldplay because I know you'll be here all day talking about them. But so I actually want to start off by talking about you meeting Mickie James, which I found
Oh
quite
yeah, yeah.
interesting because I actually got to speak to her on a media call as well, and I marked out, massive fan, and actually met her just briefly at a convention in Cardiff. But we're not talking about my
Yeah,
experience; it's about your experience, because I thought it was quite cool. Like you had the photo like when you were a fan, and then you had the photo when you met her, as a pro wrestler that is actually doing security work.
yeah.
One Stop Wrestling. So One Pro Wrestling. So shout out to One Stop Wrestling. That's actually my mate's company, cheap plug. But I want to know, how was that for you to sort of, be like full circle?
Yeah, it was really cool. I think like going into one to the one PW show, I was kind of I knew what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
And I knew that I'd be involved in the meet and greet. And I was kind of like, I've got this picture of me from like I think it was 2016.
Yeah.
Um,
Fenerbahce top.
yeah, right. Honestly, I want to get another Fenerbahce top because I don't know where that went, and like
uh,
I love her,
that's
like,
quite
but
nice top.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah, it was a good top, right? But yeah, obviously, so I was pre-transition then,
Hmm.
and yeah, so just context around the picture,
Hmm.
it was when Global Force Wrestling was a thing.
Oh God, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and they did a UK tour, and it was two shows.
Yeah.
They did Grimsby and Kings Lynn. Now I'm originally from Grimsby, so they went to Grimsby Auditorium, and we went to a meet and greet, and Mickie was one of the people there, so we got that picture. And then when I kind of saw that she was coming again, I was like, oh well, I've got to update the picture. Like
Yeah.
Mickie James and Rey Mysterio are like my two heroes growing up.
Yeah.
So I was like, I've got to update the picture. I can't leave without having that updated picture.
Hmm.
But um, I I am not the most confident person at all, right? So I was like, we'd done the whole meet and greet thing, and I'd gone away to do other things. So I was working mainly on ring crew for that show. I'd gone away to do other things. I've got to give him credit. Brad, who is a guy who trains at Evo and will hopefully be making his debut very soon. I absolutely love him to bits.
Hmm.
He kind of dragged me over and was like, "You wanted a picture of Mick James? Go get it now.
Do
Go
it.
get it now."
Do
And
it.
he like asked her for me. It was the most embarrassing thing in the
Oh.
world. Uh, but yeah, no, I spoke to her and I kind of explained to her about like why I wanted to get a picture, and
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
really cool about it. It was a really nice thing
Yeah.
to do, and it kind of probably one of the highlights, certainly of sort of my time in wrestling, just because it's one of my heroes, right? So
No, it was a cool post. I liked it, and I saw like got good feedback as well. And I think Mickie James
yeah,
got
yeah.
a heart gold, and you don't hear any bad stories about her backstage or with fans or
Oh,
anything. And she's just always positive. And for me, like just the space of a month, meeting her as a fan, talking to the podcast, and it was just so cool. Like, just if
Yeah.
I told myself like 20 years ago I'd be doing that, and it was cool. But for you to have that experience when you are a wrestler now, and I feel a bit of confidence. Well, I kind of got that impression as well because when I was speaking to you, you was like, "Oh, what do you want to talk about?" It's like, oh, we'll find plenty to talk about. Don't you worry. So, and we've kickstarted it by talking about Coldplay. I had to cut you off because you wouldn't shut up about it, but Mickie James as well, and I just want to find out if we're going to rewind the clocks even further. Then, what actually got you
Yeah.
into wrestling?
So I think I don't have like a set like point of when
Mhm.
I remember getting into wrestling.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was probably around like the age of 5, so that had put me at, I think that'd be about 2005, 2006.
God, I'm old.
Um, so yeah, and my cousin was into it. My cousin's 3 years older than me, and he was kind of that prime
Mhm.
age for like kids who are wrestling fans. And so I guess kind of we're quite close, like with that side of the family. They live like probably about 5 miles from where I grew up, so like we see each other quite a lot. I mean, even now he lives like about 2 blocks away from my uni house, so it's
I'll
like a
probably hear
weird
the
thing.
interview right now.
Yeah.
Oh, she's
So,
playing Coldplay again.
um, but yeah, so he got me into it, and I just kind of I stayed interested in it, and he never did.
Yeah.
And it's just been that kind of one constant. And I think everyone has that time where they sort of drift away from
Mhm.
wrestling, which I guess I did for a while. But yeah, since the age of about 5, it's just kind of been something that's always been there, and that's always, I guess, interested me.
Mm.
It's
It's not gone away.
yeah, no, like it went away for a little while. I think everyone goes through that stage, don't they, when they're like sort of probably like secondary school age, like 14,
Yeah.
15, where they're cool now.
Yeah. They pretend that they
And
didn't even watch it to begin with or high school.
yeah,
And yeah. Or it's
yeah, it's
fluke,
oh,
that sort
I
of
don't
shit.
want, but yeah. So I went through a small amount of time where I kind of wasn't watching as much, but yeah, it's just always been a constant thing, I guess,
Mm.
and it's been like a thing. I think for a lot of people, wrestling is that kind of escape, and it was definitely for me. Obviously, dealing with like my issues, which I've obviously speak about occasionally on social media.
Yeah.
Uh, it's always there as that escape, and I think that it's been such a positive thing for me to have in my life, which is good.
No, I like that. I like that. Like it's sort of not just entertainment. There is more to it. There's sort of, helps you like
Yeah,
escape the dark times. And I like that. I can relate in some way. It's sort of when things are shit. I can. Well, sometimes actually when it's really bad, then it just brings that worse. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, it's
yeah,
terrible. But there are good times
yeah,
as well, which I like. You mentioned about Rey Mysterio being one of your favorites. What is it about
yeah.
Ray that you love so much?
I mean, who like I don't think it's like Mickie James. I don't think anyone's ever like hates Rey Mysterio, right?
Nope.
Especially
I
like
can't think.
kids.
If they do, they're lying. They are lying.
Yeah, like he was this like colorful character. He looked like a
Yeah.
superhero with his mask and everything, which like a 5-year-old kid is like the coolest thing in the world.
Hmm.
And he does all of these flips and like everything like that. Like there's nothing to hate about something like that, especially when you're like 5 years old.
Yeah.
So I guess it was that, to be honest. Like, but what's funny is that like my two favorite wrestlers growing up, Rey Mysterio and Mickie James, I wrestled nothing like either of them.
Mm.
Like I feel like some people like when they grow up, they watch their favorite person
Yeah.
and they kind of aspire to be like them.
Yeah.
I've
Take
just
moves
done the
from them and
exact
incorporate into their
opposite.
own sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I am not athletic at all. But yeah, so I like I say, it's a pretty boring response really. But I guess like I say, he just looks like a superhero who's colourful. He did
Mm.
all these cool, like high flying moves, and they're just what's not to love about that when you're a kid.
No, it's not a boring response at all. I mean, like Ray's just like universally acclaimed, isn't he? Like everyone loves him.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
just how can you hate the guy? Like if you've watched the documentary that came out about a month or two ago on the biography
yeah.
series, oh, it'll make you even like him more. And I don't think that's even possible, but it is. You just like want to hug the guy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think the first autobiography I ever read was his autobiography. I think it was Behind the Mask or something. It came out like 2010. But yeah, he's a fascinating guy.
When did you know you wanted to become a professional wrestler?
Again, like I think it was one of those things where like the gap between me like starting watching wrestling and like wanting to be a wrestler is probably quite small. Like I can remember being sort of 5, 6, 7 years old and throwing myself from like the arm of the sofa and elbow dropping the cushions and stuff like that. So from a very young age, really, I think I went to my like sort of history with wrestling training was very on off for quite a long time. Just because, like, obviously, like when you're a kid, you're just easily distracted, and obviously with what I was dealing with as well, it was kind of like that there was a lack of consistency there. But I think I had my first training session when I was like 7.
Where was this?
So this was at a school in Grimsby that no longer exists.
Fair enough.
It was called Real Deal Wrestling. Was the name of the company, and they ran shows a bunch of places, but they ran training at Grimsby Leisure Centre, and they did like a under-18s thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I started learning
age
like
7. Like what was like? So I got cut in. So that's bonkers. Like, I think I've heard 11, maybe that was a bit. I mean, that's I don't know. Maybe it's just the parent in me, even though I haven't got no kids. But my age is shown at the moment. But what was your family's response to you training at age 7? That's bonkers.
I don't think they really like understood or knew what was going on. Like my family isn't like a wrestling family. Like I say, obviously, like I said, my cousin got me into it, but he was the only one that was really that interested, and even that was only for quite a short amount of time. So I was kind of the only person that was really interested in it. So I don't really think they knew what I was getting into.
She'll grow up.
And it's also
fine.
yeah, right, and also because it was kind of like it's the only like proper sort of sport that I'd ever really like done or like been really like keen to do. So I have, just like context, I have what's called dyspraxia, which is like it's like a coordination disorder. Basically, it just means I am not very good at football. I'm not very good at handwriting and things like that. Right? Just anything that's to do with coordination is kind of. It's not that I can't do it, but it just means I have to work harder to get to that.
Just a bit.
So I wasn't like
I get that.
Yeah, so I wasn't that typical kid who although like I was interested in football and enjoyed football, I wasn't necessarily very good at it.
Who do you support?
So I'm a Liverpool fan. But
another Liverpool fan. Fuck this podcast. Although, what was the score on Sunday? What was the score on Sunday, by the way?
3-2.
Hey! Top the league. Sorry, continue.
But yeah, I also follow Grimsby Town, just for clarification.
It's cool.
I had a great time at the playoff final a few months ago. But yeah, I've lost track of what I was saying now.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like, I followed football a bit and I was interested in football and enjoyed playing football, but wasn't really very good at it and didn't get very far. And I tried a few other sports, but so I think wrestling was the first thing that was really like a big thing that I was really keen on doing. So I think my parents were kind of like, well,
go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
Can't stop her. Like,
without really, But then I think it can't have been very long into it. I was play wrestling at school, which, everyone does, but no one should do, but everyone does.
Yep, many of them.
Yep. And it was in like there was like an after school club that we were doing it at. And the after school club, there was like a conservatory bit. And I had a kid stand on the window ledge and give me a 5-star frog splash. And I put my hand up like that broke my wrist,
Oh,
and then like stopped training for ages, and
yeah.
then I think came back to it when I was like 14, and there was like a cycle of schools in Grimsby, and like so then like I say I came back at like 14. Um, the school was then called GWA,
Mm-hmm.
and what's funny is that like GWA like at that time had a lot of people who had just started who would go on to become kind of for one reason or another like some mainstays in British wrestling, and like certainly in like the sort of scene
Mm.
around like Grimsby and Hull. So like I was there around the same time as when Scotty Rourke was starting out. I was there around the same time as when Tyler Devlin was starting out as well. So it was
Mm.
like this kind of weird like group of people who
Lose
all
some
sort of
talent.
started out at the same time. But
Yeah.
I'm a little bit younger than them. and, um, so I again after a little while of training, kind of dipped out, and it was just kind of that on and
Mm.
off relationship until um, BWR's Evo School opened up, and that was when I really started taking wrestling seriously.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just gone from there. Really,
Mm.
I've trained at a bunch of places now, and it's been
How long have you been at
yeah.
Play Fight for?
So I'm not a play fight anymore,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm back living in Hull now.
Yeah.
Um, so I lived in London for about a year. So from September last year to about like July this year, and so for that entire time I was at Play Fight,
Yeah.
which was great. And I've made so many friends
Mm.
and learned a lot from that school. Obviously, you know, training under Karen Noir,
Yeah. Spike
training under
Trevay.
Spike Trevay,
Mm.
Rero Riley, like
Like top
it's just
talent.
incredible. Yeah, it's just incredible, especially on like sort of technical wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sort of prior to moving to play fight, technical wrestling wasn't really a strong suit. So that really like training under those people really boosted that sort of technical side
Oh
of
yeah,
my
I can
game up,
imagine.
which was great. But yeah, so like I say, I was at BWR's Evo school before play fight, and now I'm back at BWR's Evo school, which is also great, which I'm
Nice.
also loving massively and learning loads. Which
Mm.
yeah, I like.
But I like
I
it. Like
read a
you're
quote.
literally like getting a bit of, like not just staying at one location. Like you're absorbing all this information from different locations, from different teachers,
Yeah, yeah,
and along with other students as well, and just meshing all this information and this skill and details and experience. And I think that kind of makes you. I'm not trying to say I'm a wrestler or anything, but I think just in life, this kind of helps you as a skill.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I also whenever I can sort of get a chance to get over there, I'll go over and train at a huge shop in Manchester.
Hmm.
Just because I think it's really important to get that sort of
There is something going up north. Like, I think since the pandemic, they want to like up north. It's like Midlands area, just like they've just taken and just
yeah,
taken the ball and run with it. Like, I think where the south kind of just, I don't know, it's booming again. It is, but I think the north just picked
yeah,
up straight away and just for what I see, like just in the shows online and the companies and the rosters, and there's just a bit more about
yeah,
the north than there
definitely.
is to the south. And for someone that is from Essex, that kind of pains me to say that.
Well, I think the difference between the north and the south is that there's a lot of promotions in the north. The
Hmm.
south has less promotions, but some of the promotions down south are sort of bigger.
Yeah, yeah,
Apart like in terms of northern based companies, like the biggest one's one PW, but after that, like
yeah.
everyone's a
Maybe
little
like
bit more
TNT
regional.
Extreme or Westwild.
Yeah, there's TNT
Yeah.
as well. But then obviously, like in London alone, you've got Rev Pro, Progress, and Pro Wrestling Eve all like concentrated in
Mm,
one area. So I think it kind of almost balances out a
yeah.
little bit.
I will ask about your pro wrestling
But
league
yeah.
experience in a moment, but there is one
Oh
thing I
yeah.
do want to touch on is you actually making history because I watched one of your matches against the Princess Diana of Wrestling. Fucking love that nickname,
Oh
by the
yeah.
way. They actually said that you were actually the first trans woman to wrestle in the north of England.
Yes.
How? I
Uh,
mean, did you know before the match, by the way, or did you know after?
Yeah, so the North of England was actually it was from wrestling at Evo,
Hmm.
not the match with Jetta.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, no, it's been pretty cool, really, sort of realizing, oh, actually, like I've done all of these things.
yeah,
Um, I get, I find myself quite torn at times about how I should portray myself as a trans wrestler.
yeah,
Um, I always like to talk about it, and I am open about it when I feel I need to be open about it. You know, like if I hit a milestone with my hormone therapy or whatever, if it's a personal thing for me. But I'm also very conscious about being sort of seen as the trans wrestler.
yeah. No, I completely understand that.
I think that for a few reasons, because I think like for one, if your sort of wrestling character is based solely around your sort of gender identity or
Yeah.
sexuality, it's a little bit.
Do you
I
feel kind
think
of
it's
like takes away from who you are? Like, I mean, I think gender's important,
yeah,
but at the same time, you want people to identify who you are, not just, like, I don't know, maybe I'm not wording it correctly.
yeah. No, no. I think you kind of you've hit the nail on the head because I also think like say if I branded myself as the trans wrestler,
Yeah,
well then what am I going to do when another trans person comes along? I'm
yeah,
not unique anymore, so I kind of am always very cautious about like presenting myself as a trans wrestler
hmm,
for that reason. And I also think it's just not that important. Like I'd rather people judge me on my wrestling ability
yeah,
than oh well she's trans, so we'll give her a free pass.
yeah,
Um, but it is also really cool to kind of hit those milestones. You know,
mm,
doing so the first openly trans wrestler in the north of England. I think technically the first openly trans wrestler to wrestle on Eve. I think as well because obviously Giselle wasn't out. I don't think when she
yeah.
worked
I think she only came
on
out,
Eve.
I think just in the summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the last
Mm.
Pride. It was Pride month just gone.
Yeah,
So yeah, like so Giselle hadn't really come out when she worked Eve. So kind of getting those things is really cool, and it's things that will always kind of be mine.
yeah,
But I also just try, like I say, I try not to think about that too much, just in terms of like all of my goals are kind of like wrestling goals. They're not.
hmm,
I don't set out to be like I'm going to be the first trans wrestler to do
yeah.
this. I'm going to
First
be
transfer
the first trans
in a
wrestler to
ladder
do
match,
that.
first transfer in her own cell. Like, you just want to be a
Yeah,
good female wrestler.
yeah. I'd rather. I don't want like my whole attitude like since coming out. I mean, I've been out for actually 3 years this month.
Hmm.
Just realised it's about 3 years, pretty much to the day.
Hey,
Um,
congratulations. So,
yeah, thank you. That I came out, and I've kind of from the very beginning have been like, well, I don't want people walking on eggshells around me. I don't want people giving me a free pass for things just
yeah.
because of this. I think that's kind of foolish. Um, so I'm kind of yeah, I'm kind of I realize I'm kind of going on a tangent, but
Go
I'm
for it.
just very
Go for
wary
yours. I
about
think it's a good conversation. I'm learning as well.
yeah, I'm just very wary about how I portray myself.
Mm,
Um, because I think it. So when this is like tangent off tangent, but when after I wrestled Maxi and Pele, I got sent a screenshot of someone's Instagram story from that show by Dan Reed, the Ethan rower, and it was basically this woman who had taken her young daughter, to the show, and just by me being there, it kind of created a conversation where she could kind of explain to her daughter that that some people are trans.
yeah,
I didn't need to go out there and grab the microphone and say, by the way, I'm trans. I didn't present that. My gear doesn't show that. Nothing about me automatically goes, by the way, I'm trans.
yeah,
And it still creates those conversations. So I think, I can still create that, try and bring about that progress and that goodwill without ramming it down people's throats and
yeah.
being like,
Just maybe a bit of
by the
a
way,
balance. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I think it's difficult. But yeah, just to answer your original question, it is definitely cool to kind of have that accolade of being that sort of first openly trans woman to wrestle in the North and things like that, because that's always going to be something that I can look back on and be like, you know what, I did that, and that's really cool that I did that. But yeah, so
that's awesome. But I think you'll make history in other ways as opposed to. But I think trans representation is important, like it's for race and whatever. Like just as long as I will judge you for how you unring that way.
Yeah.
But no, that's cool. It's good to have that conversation as well. I think as myself learning, but
yeah,
I think we're seeing like just wrestling becoming more open-minded and more shows now for trans and women and just everything.
definitely.
I think it's more for everyone now, and I like that. I like that. I think we as a generation as well, just more open-minded. It's pretty cool to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've touch wood, not really had a bad experience at a wrestling show so far, and I know that at some point it's inevitable that something's going to happen, but for the moment, yeah, it's just been really great, and since I've sort of started, it's not surprised me is the wrong word, but it's been nice to see how welcoming the scene has actually been to me.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. No, I like to hear that. And if anyone does give me shit, just send them my way and I'll. No, I'm joking. No, I can't fight shit. That's why I sit here and talk to wrestlers. But that's cool. I want to play a bit of word association with some of the wrestlers that I have interviewed and you've listened to. It's only three, four names. Sky Shaw. They were a great guest. I enjoyed having them on. I want to know first word that comes up in your head about them. We can make it plural if you want words. If you want.
Yeah. Like there are so many words that come into my head.
Are they polite?
They're lovely. They're lovely.
Yeah.
But they did also make a retching noise when they talked about me on the podcast. So
what my one? I think I think it's come back to me now. I think so. Sky, I hope you're listening.
I do. No,
I'm going to tag
Sky
Sky
is lovely.
one, and hopefully
Sky is lovely. Sky is lovely.
Main attraction, MK. Completely different how I thought personally he was going to be. Like, I was pretty surprised, but he's cool. He's cool.
Yeah. Sparring partner.
Fair play.
Down in London.
Oh,
yeah. Play fight.
I noticed your stance as well when you fight, like in the ring. I've noticed that, like it's.
I used to box for a little while, so
nice. I'll come back to the
but yeah, no, MK. When we were in London together, we would regularly sort of work together and come up with different things. So yeah, MK is always going to be sort of my sparring partner in that regard.
Awesome. And last one, Bo Bells. Proper lad, isn't she?
Can I swear on this? Because I might have to edit
Go for it. Go for it. As long as it's not CUNT.
Okay, no, hard as fuck.
She'll like that as well.
She is. No, she is. She is. Yeah. I was really happy to get the chance to wrestle both Bo and Sky recently. Because all three of those people I got very close to when I was in London, so I love them all.
Awesome. Hopefully, when I speak to more people from Play Fight, I'll add you onto the word association as well because it's actually been really good.
Of course.
I've quite proper enjoyed it. Before I ask my famous last question, I'm just going to touch on the Pro Wrestling Eve. I know you said like about making history, but I want to talk about the actual experience itself. How was that for you?
Great. I mean, it was kind of mad because so I've wrestled. So I've done one match on Eve itself and one match for Sheevolution, which is like this sort of academy brand. I guess is the best way of putting it. And both times it was just so cool. Like when I started sort of taking wrestling seriously, I sat down, wrote a list of things like, right, these are the things that I want to do in wrestling, and on that list was wrestle for Pro Wrestling Eve, and I ended up making my singles debut for Pro Wrestling Eve, which was
really that was the first singles match, probably. Like that's that's cool.
my first singles match was against Mercedes Blaze at Pro Wrestling Eve, and it was it was a very last minute thing. I didn't know that I was wrestling Mercedes until I think 5 o'clock on the day.
Last minute as well.
But yeah, it was incredible. It was an incredible experience, and I think a great learning curve. A great learning curve as well. I realised how much I still had to learn. But then obviously I did Evolution as well against Mickie and Paler, which was insane.
Yeah, that was awesome. What a gimmick.
Yeah, Max. Wow. Again, like both to be honest, both times that I've sort of worked on Eve or sort of Eve related shows, it's just been such a learning experience. And to get to wrestle Max, I mean, they are a superstar.
Yeah.
They are incredible.
They just have this aura straight away. Like, you notice who they are. Like, it's
yeah.
I really, I'm a bit shy. I want to like reach out to her, but I think so. I reach out to them, but I think they might not come on. But I don't know. A bit shy. I don't know how to take them. Sorry, it's all them.
That's okay. But they are incredible. Although I did in my match with them, I did have a little fall, and I did fall off the ring.
Really? Oh, really? Like Botchamania style?
Yeah, it never made Botchamania, much to my upset.
But, no, don't worry. We'll get him. We'll tag him again. I tried to get a Botchamania myself, but I'll explain to you like on a DM. Like it's
Yeah, of course. But yeah, no. So I slipped on the ring apron and fell.
Yeah,
I
think it's on your Twitter, isn't it?
Yes, it is on my Twitter.
I've seen it.
Because it's a very funny clip. It makes me laugh. But
I love your
break. It was a funny thing. I wasn't hurt. So somehow I wasn't hurt because I fell onto concrete. But I was fine. So it's very funny. But yeah, I don't think everyone else found it so funny. I think when I've spoken to Dan Reed about it in the past, he is harrowed by the experience.
Really?
It. So yeah. But yeah, so it was incredible to get to work on Eve, and hopefully there's more in the future. I can only hope.
I really like their presentation, their style, and just how they are as a company. They seen a lot of their matches and shows. They're pretty good stuff. Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
My name is Harrison Leon. I'm the freshest, the flyest, finest guest on the What You Call It podcast.
You heard. Awesome. I definitely wasn't laughing because I showed you a meme during this break. But no, it's good. I hope you're back in Eve. I'm sure you will be back in Eve no time. So I just want to touch on the boxing quickly. How far did you go into it? Like, how many fights did you have? How long did you train for? And something you do after wrestling as well, maybe?
It was only a very casual thing. Like I never had any fights or anything like that. It's just like it's just sort of something I've kind of done to supplement my wrestling, I guess. But I boxed a little bit before I really sort of started taking wrestling seriously, which I think is probably where like the sort of my go-to stance comes from.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier.
I just it's just a good way to add something to my wrestling, especially because I'm quite strikes based in the ring. It's just a great little way to add to my wrestling, and it's a great way to sort of add that additional bit of cardio as well. But yeah, it's been a very casual thing. I tend to go to the uni that I'm at has a boxing school, which is
nice,
quite fun. Yeah,
I've tried boxing. Not for me. No chance. I respect anyone does it. Like one of my mates, Tom. Shout out to Tom, by the way. He's doing his first ever match. So he's doing 0 to Hero, and it's in 74th, I think. And basically, his first ever fight. He's only really been into boxing in the last couple of years, and he's been ready to send me up to training. Fuck that. He may live longer than me, but fuck that. But no, that's cool. I respect anyone does it, so I can imagine it being quite difficult, along with your wrestling training as well, and your education and social life. So you're juggling it, but you seem to be doing well, which is awesome.
I get easily bored, so I have to keep myself distracted.
No, that's cool. Is that why you did this podcast then? Thanks.
I can assure you not.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You've actually done research. Well, my last question. Last question is 3 dream dinner guests for your dream party. You can pick whoever you want, dead, alive, fictional, non-fictional, neighbor, someone across the uni hall in the campus, even your cousin, whatever. You pick.
I'm not inviting my no.
Oh,
I see my cousin far too often. I'm not inviting my own cousin.
cousin, you're banned.
No, right. So this is a very, very, very nerdy first answer. So I was sat last night and I was thinking, like, well, what am I actually going to say to this question?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. It's probably my favorite video game. A big Assassin's Creed fan.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite video game series. My favorite game is the 4th one, Black Flag, which is it's less of an Assassin's game, more of a pirate game. It's absolutely sick. Yeah. But the main character from that, Edward Kenway, is just a cool guy, and I like him, so I want to invite him.
So we got Assassin's Creed. First time that's ever been said. Fair enough.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
It is only because I have been playing through it again recently,
so
okay. It's just at the forefront of my mind, right?
That's fair.
Yeah, it's very fresh in my memory. Who else though? Because that was like the first one that sprung to my mind, and then I struggled from it. Ooh.
Hey Mickie, you're so fine. You're so funny. Put my mind, hey Mickie. just finding a little.
No, I couldn't.
Would you just shoo her ear off completely, like exclude the other guests, and just be like, Mickie?
This is it. It would be quite embarrassing. I feel like inviting other wrestling people is like a cop out to this question.
I have had it as answers, so it's not a bad thing. You can it's your party. You can bring who the hell you want. Bring Moses if you want. I don't know.
Chris Martin from Coldplay now.
Oh, no surprise there. No.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Most boring meal ever.
I'd probably, in terms of a musical one though, I'd probably like to invite someone like Bowie. David Bowie would be
good answer.
Incredible. He's just
just cool, wasn't he? Just cool.
Yeah,
different. I loved it. His own style.
And I refuse to believe that. Like, I don't understand people. It's like, oh, I don't really like David Bowie. Like he's got so many.
Say that.
No, he's got so many different eras and so many different characters. I mean, like David Bowie in a lot of ways is like he's a wrestler. In terms
Jericho
of,
in a way, isn't he?
Yeah, like he's had all these different characters that have all of these different traits, and he mimicked them sometimes too well. Like if you look at like some eras, like he's just a fascinating guy. And I mean, obviously he's not alive anymore, which is very sad. But it'd be amazing to have him there, to sort of not even to like talk to, but just to sort of like see what he was like as a real person. Yeah. I feel like I'd just be like sort of in his aura, just like
mate.
So yeah, David Bowie would definitely be another one. And I also feel like him and Edward Kenway from Assassin's Creed would be a weird pairing that I would just not understand.
Who gets the third seat then? Who's the final one?
Oh.
Final entry to your dream party.
See, for all the thinking that I did, I'm surprisingly bad at this question.
My eyes gone blank now.
Yeah,
you've overthought about it now.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it definitely is. Okay, I think let's be a cop out, and I will say Mickie James because she's just cool and she's chill.
Yeah,
like when I met her, she's been absolutely lovely and she's chill. And also, I feel like this is people, with the exception of the first one, but certainly the other two are like people that I look up to.
But no one's mentioned them. No one has said them.
No.
So David Bowie, I'm quite surprised. Like, I think I've been asking this question now for the last 20-ish episodes, so I'm quite surprised by that one. Just because it's boring, and I speak to a lot of Brits as well, so I'm quite surprised about that. But the other two, maybe not so much. But we've got Assassin's Creed, David Bowie, and Mickie James. Hey Mickie.
Yeah.
No, that song's gonna be fucking stuck in my head. But
To
no,
be fair, I could have probably filled that entire table with music people, but I limited myself to one.
that's cool.
Or two if you count Mickie James, actually, technically.
Of which can say Coldplay again. Like, I know you're obsessed, right? But
Absolutely not.
Awesome, Kamille. Thank you for coming on. If the listeners want to keep up to date with you and your wrestling career, where can they find you on social media?
So it's @ what is it? Sorry, I just had a mind blank there and forgot my own social media. It's one of them days, honestly. I need to go to the gym to wake myself up. I've not had any caffeine. It's @the_K_Hansen. It's Hansen spelled SEN, not SON.
Oh, I don't like that awesome band.
Yeah. Well, the comparison is Stan Hansen, although that's not where I got.
Not working
from.
out Larry yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't steal it from Stan Hansen. I stole it from Alan Hansen, the footballer. But
did you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
forgot.
did,
Yeah, Scouse. Oh god.
So,
really?
yeah,
So your last name comes from Alan Hansen?
Yes.
Fucking, that's a great way to end that. That's awesome. I mean, like,
well, it's not. I'm not. Yeah, it's. I sat down and I created a list. It's Kamille because.
Was it going to be Kamille like Fowler or like Kamille McManaman? Kamille.
So the two names I got down to. I feel like this is like a weird post-credit scene that we're in now.
Kamille Gerard.
The two names that I got down to was either Kamille Hansen or Camille Barnes, and I feel like I definitely made the right choice with Camille Hansen.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Camille Barnes sounds like she writes young adult fiction. But yeah, so that's how I got the name.
That's a great
Check
way
me
to
out on
end this.
social media.
Brilliant. Oh, I love it. And I got to squeeze in a bit of football talk there. That's awesome. 3-2. But yeah, no, thank you for coming. Awesome. But no, thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute blast. Generally enjoyed this. I've learned
it's been great
as well. For all the listeners out there, I hope you all have a fantastic week, as I will, and I hope Kamille has a great week as well, because I know she's going to the gym. I'm actually going to the gym after work as well. Yeah, I signed up.
Oh,
I'm not lying. But yeah, if you can like this video, that'd be great. If you can subscribe to this channel, that'd be even better. But if you can follow me also, in the description below, you can see all my social media details down there, and you can keep up to date with what I'm going to be doing, and I will be producing more weekly content and having awesome interviews like I've just done with Kamille, which you've enjoyed. But for now, everyone, take care. Hi there, I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
Hey, this is Diener with Impact Wrestling, and you are listening to What Do You Call It? Podcast.
Yeah, I heard.